United States corporation, your slaves are waking up, or should I say cattle. They're starting to realize that they are no longer the barcode that you assigned to them at their birth, or SSN number. They are starting to refuse to bow down to your golden calf, aka your money system. They're starting to realize that the entire system that you have created for them and brought them up into was to strictly enslave them and milk tax dollars out of them. You see, this is consciousness of humanity that's coming out. And you can't hide from that.
Black people know things white people don't. Before I go on, you can check my video notes for the references I used to create this video. Generations of white Americans were raised with a story that made us feel like heroes. We learned about abolitionists, not about the banks that provided insurance on enslaved people. We learned about the civil rights movement, but not about the white mobs who terrorized black families for trying to move into a better neighborhood. Systemic racism didn't just hurt black people, although they were the ones that took most of it, but it also misinformed white people, and that pisses me off. It trained us to see unfairness and injustice as progress. That's why when black folks talk about redlining, medical racism, or why certain laws hit their communities so much harder, many white people are just confused, or worse, and probably more commonly, they're defensive. It's not just ignorance, it's conditioning. The system made sure we didn't see the whole picture, because once we did, we might start asking too many questions. White people need to hear the truth from people who live it, but that takes a toll on black people. They've had to survive what we've only begun to learn about, and it's not fair to put that burden on them. That's why I study, listen, and talk to other white folks. It's not about guilt, and it's not about blame. It's about repair. Black people already know this history. White people need to know it too, because it's our history. It's our history too. Silence keeps the system working in the way that is unjust. Don't be afraid. You should be mad about what was kept from you on purpose. Now you have the opportunity to learn about it and start organizing your life differently. I am not an expert, but I love learning. You can put my username into your search engine. Scroll down if you want to help me out. You guys are the greatest. Get curious.
No homeless people in China, because in China, even though you are very poor, you're a very poor person, and even though that, your parents maybe have an old house inside the countryside. They have an old apartment inside the city somehow. And that house, that apartment, just paying zero tax to the government. We Chinese, we do not have property tax, housing tax. We also do not have a car tax. Like every year you need to renew a tag on your license in the United States, paying $250 or something. No such thing. Once we own the car, we own the house, just no tax. We only pay tax when we buy it for one time. Okay, such like my apartment, $70,000. When I buy it, I only pay one time 1% of the tax.
It seems like the entire world is gearing up for a war that the people don't want, but that the elites want so that they can keep control of the people. Because the people all around the world are waking up to the fact that the system we live under is extremely corrupt and only benefits 1% of the population of the entire planet, while the rest of the planet basically works to support that 1%. And people are figuring out this is a really stupid system and we should not continue it. I mean, we're like 30-something trillion dollars in debt, and there's no way to pay that off because they keep cutting taxes on the rich people, who are the only ones who could ever pay off a debt that big, is be by taxing them. And it really reminds me a lot of like before the last World War or the one before that, when the economies around the world were all in shambles and falling apart, and there was all this talk of revolution, and then all of a sudden they found something to throw young people at. You see, because young people who don't have a lot of job prospects or economic prospects are the most likely people to throw a revolution. So if you start a war, you can throw those young people at that instead. Really hope I'm wrong, but it really seems that that's where we're going.
What I need the world to realize is that Americans do not give a shit about you. The majority of Americans don't even know that your country exists. They wouldn't be able to even pick it out on a map. If the United States government decided to yeet your country off of the face of the earth tomorrow, the majority of Americans would not bat an eye. Half the country would support it. The majority of the other half are apathetic to it. The people in this country who actually give a shit about the world are an extreme minority. And so why does the world continue to care about America in this way? Following American trends, adopting these cultural practices that are largely rooted in consumerism, looking up to American celebrities and public figures, this country and its people are nothing to emulate. American consumption habits are literally destroying the world. This country is only 5% of the world's total population, but is responsible for a quarter of the trash that it produces. The parasitic government will destroy countries without batting an eye. And realize Donald Trump is not the first to do this. But the world is a little bit too complacent, just as Americans are. And people are waking up to it, but not enough. This country has done so much to destroy the world, and people are too passive in accepting it. And so the world needs to boycott America, not just regarding consumption, but culturally and socially as well.
In America today, a white man with a high school diploma makes more than a black man with a master's degree. A white man with a master's degree makes more than a black man with a doctorate. You follow what I'm saying? So that is real. There was a study that was done not too long ago where white men who had a prison record and no college degree, were called back for a job more often than black men with master's degrees with no prison record at all. Right? There was a sister who just did a study. I just saw it the other day. She changed her name to a white woman's name.
I saw that.
You saw that?
Yeah.
On what is it? Indeed. What's the thing on?
Indeed, yeah. Yeah, Indeed and all those job sites. LinkedIn.
Right.
Indeed.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And she passed herself off as a white woman, and she proved that there was discrimination. Same resume, same everything, but when she was Caucasian, way more job opportunities than when she was black. So that's a real thing. How do we change that? You got to change the system. Because here's the thing. We can't deny the American African his humanity for good and for bad. This is what I mean by that. There was a psychological study that was done, I forget the name of it, where they took a rat and they put the rat in a box. And they kept enticing the rat to climb out the box. And every time the rat tried to climb out the box, they kept getting pushed back into the box. So guess what happened after hundreds of times of trying to jump out the box and kept getting pushed back in? They stopped trying to jump out the box. The white man, a Charlie Kirk, will look at that and say, look at the lazy black. They not trying enough. They not working hard enough. What did I say? Don't discount the history. He's not going to talk about the fact that they've been trying to do that for the past 200 years, and they learned through experience that trying to get out the box is not the way you get out.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you all doing today? I hope you're having a nice day. Without been saying much, this video reflects my personal opinion and comments. And this video is for educational purposes only. It's not meant to harass any individual or harm anyone at all. So guys, a lot of white Americans are waking up nowadays. They are waking up to realize that the system they built is no longer helping them at all and is exposed by the world. The world is now getting to know their secrets. Not just the world, even they themselves, most of them, they didn't know all this before. They are just coming to get to know a lot about this whole system of racist, of white supremacists that's been going on in America for a very long time now. So, and it's really a very serious issue though that's really going on there. So guys, I have a few clips and stitches I'll put out there for us to watch, and we'll be back with commentaries. So stay tuned and watch out, guys.
You know, I'll never forget the day a white buddy of mine said black people don't deserve equality because they could never get enough. And that's true. White people are actually scared of equality. That's just how racist we are as a people. And it's not just that one person. White culture in general. Probably I would say most white people, when they hear the word equality, they fear that white people will be oppressed because brown, black, and indigenous people might actually get what's fair and just. That's just how racist we are. And we're so obsessed with the idea of not having equality in America for black, brown, and indigenous people that we don't have health care, that we don't have economic equality. We don't have reasonable gun laws. Our liberties are being stripped because we have a fascist, racist, white supremacist regime in office because we are so scared of equality. We're so scared that black and brown folks might become the majority one day. That we had a black president, and now we've got to have a white supremacist president. That's how scared we are of equality. That's how racist we are as a people. Go to the fucking root. The root of America's problems. The root of the white man and the white woman, their problems, and America and the world. If you think about it, colonialization, white supremacy, the mentality of white people today, not just yesterday, today, right now, the denial racially, the silence, the apathy, the continuous gaslighting, all that fucking shit, that's ruined us. It's ruined white people, and it's ruining our nation. And whose fault is it? White people's fault. Their inability to fucking fix their goddamn problem. Until we fix white supremacy, everything we try will fail. It's dysfunctional and it's toxic, and Trump and this regime is the perfect proof of all that shit. How we got in this fucking mess? White people's bullshit. White people's racist fucking bullshit. Period.
So I have a question for Americans, to those asking people overseas for help with regards to what's happening in the States right now with the Trump regime. And before I ask that question, hi, I'm Danny, I'm from Australia, and I've been posting about providing an outsider's perspective to Americans on what's happening in the States. I decided to do that because I'd see a lot of Americans on TikTok saying, where is the international community? What do other people think? What are you seeing? It's not getting through. And I've been so lucky that I've been able to get through to some Americans and I've been getting some answers. And to those who've engaged with me, thank you very much for letting me know how you're going, letting me know your perspectives. It's been really, really informative to me. And I hope my view is helpful to you in some way. But let's go back to the original question. When Americans say, we need help, what help do you want? What do you want us to do? And I'm not asking that in some sort of obnoxious way. I genuinely am curious. What do you think we can do or should do for you? I know what I'm doing. I'm posting videos offering my perspective from an outsider's view as to what is happening so that you don't feel gaslit or going crazy so that you can get a different kind of perspective about what's going on in your country from an outsider's view. I'm not American. I do not live there. This is just an outsider's perspective. But I don't want you to feel alone and gaslit and confused and crazy, because I know that authoritarian regimes are very, very effective at doing that to their populations. And while I have said previously, you're in an authoritarian regime, I think you are there, or what's most likely to be, you are very, very much on your way there. Your institutions are crumbling and executive power is far too strong. And you might feel, and many of you do feel, lost and isolated, like the rest of the world doesn't care what's happening to you and they're not going to come to help. It's not that the rest of the world doesn't care, it's that they're not going to come help. This is something that Americans need to deal with. You made this. A lot of you did not vote for this president, and that's fine, but you're in a democracy. This is the president that won those elections, and this is the president that's in power. And this is the president that very questionably will not surrender power. I'm highly suspicious that he would ever surrender power willingly. Like, look what happened at January 6th. But this is an American issue, and you can have our love and sympathy and support, and we can talk to you about what's going on and how we see it, and we can try and encourage you and embolden you. We can't do it for you. We can't fix this issue for you. We can only be a friend to you. In the same way that a friend can't make another friend break up with their shitty boyfriend or deal with their drug or alcohol addiction or any other thing like that. In that same way, we can't make you be better. And also, this is where I really might lose some of you. I'm going to say something uncomfortable. A lot of Americans have cost the United States a lot of goodwill internationally. For a very long time, people in other countries, and particularly ally countries, have been dealing with a culture of hubris and American exceptionalism and an arrogance that is incredibly off-putting. Now, obviously, I can't speak for everyone outside the US, but this is just, again, my perspective. A little bit about how I feel, but also how I see a lot of other people feel. You guys behave like dicks, and you have a lot when it comes to the rest of the world. This is just a tiny example, but I was traveling in Europe, and I made some friends with some Americans there, and they were really, really lovely people. And this was quite a long time ago. And they asked how they could reach out to me at home in Australia. And they asked me, do you have email in Australia? They thought that I came from a kind of country that didn't have email, and that America was so amazing that it was the only country in the world that had email. Americans have spent a lot of time talking to people overseas like we are a bunch of basically poor, degenerate losers, and our greatest dream in life would be to get a chance to move to the United States, which is simply untrue. Now, I love Americans. I've had, lots of American friends. There's a reason that I'm posting this stuff. It's because I genuinely care about what happens to you guys. I care about your Constitution as someone who's an idealist and a philosopher of sorts, and as someone who loves political science and law. I mean, that's why this stuff really, really matters to me, and I care what happens to you. I genuinely do. But the most you're going to get, really, from anyone overseas is, I'm so sorry this is happening to you, offering an outside perspective and encouraging you to, do whatever you need to do. Make your own decisions about how to deal with this issue. No one's coming to save you. Also, there's huge geopolitical and military reasons why, we wouldn't even do that in any sort of formal way. Our government wouldn't do that in any sort of formal way. That's, America is our ally. The US government is our ally. Australian and US governments are allies. We have substantial military assets, the US military assets in our country. Ally nations will act within their own best interests, even when the US is pushing them away and treating their allies with contempt. No one's coming for you. No one's coming to help you. You're going to have to deal with this yourself. And I'm sorry to say, I know a lot of you didn't vote this in, I know, but again, as a people in aggregate, you made this problem and you're going to have to fix it. And I say that as a friend. I say that as a friend who cares. It is worth reflecting as Americans how you have behaved to people from other countries, how you have been so arrogant about your exceptionalism, about what an amazing country you live in and how everyone must want to come live in America. That, oh my gosh, you're the dream. And above like an interpersonal level where Americans have had a culture of hubris and arrogance and disrespect towards people in other countries, not all Americans, but a lot, enough to make it a interesting and unique problem that is only really seen as much from Americans. Your foreign policy. Your foreign policy has caused a lot of pain and harm across the world. And my country has followed you into it without question, with blind loyalty, in almost every single case. And that has cost us dearly, dearly. When 9/11 happened, I remember Australians were shocked. There was grief. I mean, I remember going to school that day because I was 11, 12 years old. And yeah, it was bizarre. And definitely at my school, everyone was just completely stunned. And we jumped into that war on terror. It was like, someone did that, let's go. We jumped into that war on terror and also the war in Iraq without question. And our military service people have suffered. They've also suffered. I mean, there was a lot of loss of life of US soldiers due to the war in Iraq and the war in Afghanistan. We've been there with you. And I'm a person that has family in the military. Look at Denmark. Look at what's happening with Greenland and what's Trump saying about Greenland. The Danes, I mean, Denmark is a very, very small country, and it also responded with absolute loyalty to the United States for the war on terror. On a per capita basis, well, on a scaled down basis, the Danes took heavy losses following the US into war, and now the US is talking about taking Greenland. Again, that's the regime, that's not you. I understand that that's the Trump administration doing that. But the cost of goodwill is not just what has happened under the Trump administration. It has been a long-standing culture of behavior by a lot of the American people, and it is our experience of the impacts of US foreign policy. I don't say this to upset you, I just say it to kind of deliver it to you straight. And frankly, me posting an outsider's perspective on these issues, which is critical of an authoritarian regime of a country as powerful as the United States, that is not without risk to me. I know that sounds dramatic and silly from Australia. Oh, you're in Australia, it doesn't matter. I cannot explain to you why necessarily, but I certainly know that by posting these things, I will never be allowed into the United States. And there are other risks associated with that. They're very minor compared to the ones that you face, but it's not, talking like this with you is not without risk to me as well. Sorry, this was long and ranty, but I really wanted to kind of explain why you have my love, you have my support. Let's talk about it. I want to encourage you. I want you to hear your stories. I want to be there for you, but I cannot do this for you, and no one else internationally is going to do it for you. Love you though, I do.
The United States is collapsing before our very eyes. 249 years of white supremacy, of white, old, rich men running the country. Women are 51% of the population, yet they're still held down because the system is broken. You have other women who go and vote with men who are against women, with men who will call them names to their face, hold them down, not let them vote, who change laws that do not favor them. Who told you America has the strongest military? I want you to think about that. We spend the most money per capita, but we haven't won a war since World War II, and we had allies. We will never be the same again. We have burnt every bridge that we have with every country, 183 of them. Our economics are heading for a catastrophe. We are actually paying law enforcement from our own taxes to go and harass and murder our own citizens. We're building concentration camps for immigrants we're supposed to be deporting. There's about 20 of them right now. We give 2 private companies $50 billion last year of your taxpayer dollars to house, feed, and store brown people. I want you to think about that. I heard about a family the other day, a mom and her kids. They've been in detention for 8 months. We are sheltering, feeding, and clothing an immigrant family instead of putting them on a plane. We have members that have been elected in our Congress for over 40 years, some as old as 90. Shit, the president is gonna be 80. These people do not represent the majority of Americans, but we're part of the problem, meaning conservative white women who don't stick up for other women because of their husbands or what they've been told. The whole world now knows America is weak, that we have 77 million uneducated, racist people. They now know that every 4 years, their entire global economy can be wrecked by one man. They are not going back to normal, and all we did was show them how weak we are. We have lost Iran. We're spending $2 billion a day, lives lost, and we've sided with Israel, who we give $10 million a day to, $3 billion a year, and $300 billion since 1965. We are actually paying Israel to attack Gaza, to attack Lebanon, and to attack Iraq, all because of our government told you, all because our media, who's owned by 80% of white rich men. The only way to fix this is to burn it all down. Education is elevation. If you don't believe me that we're not going to be the same, go on international news and see what a joke we are in every single country and how they are standing up to Trump. China is going to be sending humanitarian aid. China to Iran, to Lebanon, to Jordan, to Iraq. China, who we've been told was our enemy, who we know is not our enemy. The government has lied to you and me, and they've done it for 249 years. The mask is off, and we will never, ever be the same.
8 things that happened to poor white Americans that the system deliberately forgot. The last one will shock you. Number 1. Appalachian coal communities were kept in single industry dependency through company towns, company stores, and company housing, where workers were paid in script redeemable only at company stores. They could not leave without losing their housing. The system was designed to prevent any accumulation of wealth or independence. Number 2. Poor white children were taken from families and institutionalized in poor houses throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, simply because their families could not afford to keep them. They were not orphans. They had parents who were simply too poor to prevent the state from taking them. Number 3. The Dust Bowl displaced 3 million farming families in the 1930s. When they migrated to California, they were denied services, turned away at state borders by police, and placed in labor camps with wages deliberately set below subsistence level. Number 4. White indentured servants in colonial America died at rates comparable to enslaved Africans in the early colonial period. An estimated 40% did not survive their indenture. Their contracts could be sold and their terms extended for infractions. Their history has been largely omitted from accounts of colonial labor. Number 5. The opioid crisis was caused partly by Purdue Pharma deliberately targeting economically depressed working-class communities with aggressive OxyContin marketing. Their sales data showed specific targeting of vulnerable zip codes. Over 500,000 people died. Number 6. Poor white Vietnam veterans returned to communities with no economic infrastructure and no mental health support. PTSD was not recognized as a diagnosis until 1980, and veterans who could not afford private care received almost nothing. Their suicide rate exceeds combat deaths by most estimates. Number 7 was the deliberate destruction of American manufacturing through 1990s trade policies. This eliminated millions of working-class jobs and left communities with no alternative economic base. The economists who designed those policies acknowledged the job losses and proceeded anyway. The community communities that collapsed are still collapsed. Before I say the last one, make sure to hit that follow button to support the channel. Number 8. The Tennessee Valley Authority flooded hundreds of small Appalachian communities in the 1930s and 1940s to build dams. Entire towns, cemeteries, farms, and churches were submerged. Families who had lived on the same land for generations were given minimal compensation and told to leave. Some watched from hillsides as the water rose over their homes. The TVA is celebrated in American history as a great New Deal achievement. The communities that it erased are rarely mentioned in that celebration.
You know, for as bad as the world seems right now, the United States, how out of control it is, how little power it seems that we have, the little bit of constitutional rights that we have are being violated, and you know, pretty much just we're being pinned against the ground, backs against the wall. It is such a blessing. I was just listening to Deontay Kyle's fucking podcast, and he was talking about just like the history of white privilege in this country, how they've run absolutely everything, and it is everything. And this is the fall of that system. Like, it's gonna get ugly. It's gonna get ugly before it ever gets pretty, but it'll burn down to the ground before we ever continue to live in this shit. And I know that because there is enough brown folk, melanated folk, native peoples of the world in this country to overtake that white supremacy. They're fighting. This is the last straw. They're trying to keep this control, but that's too far gone. This is the natural karma of the world, and I know it feels shitty. Trust me, I have a 3-year-old and I have a child on the way, and it's scary to think they're gonna have to grow up in this shit and the violence that comes behind this. But I also know that this is the last time that this battle is going to have to be fought, because there's a new world coming. They controlled everything. The world is crashing for a new world to be born, built, and lived in. And I know that shit to be true. Even if we don't get to actually live in it, I believe that this is a process of a new world truly being built where people could live heaven on earth. They don't gotta go through this bullshit. White supremacy, whiteness, white control of the world is going down. And it's not just in the United States. It's in the whole world. This is nature. This is just laws coming into play. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful for all the pieces of shit who are helping crash the system right now.
There is a very interesting shift taking place as Trump rapidly ramps up his authoritarianism, and that is white people flipping the switch from capitulation to resistance. Let me explain what I mean. Since the end of World War II, the white community in America has enjoyed unprecedented wealth and opportunity as a result of a globalized American empire. And because of that, we have been less likely to buck against the system, even when we know that system is unjust, because the system has rewarded us so well. That's called capitulation. And these are broad brushstrokes here. I'm speaking very generally. The black community, on the other hand, because they have always been a target of the system, from slavery to Jim Crow to the war on drugs, they have always maintained a posture of resistance. And again, there are plenty of exceptions on both sides here. But what's interesting to see now is more and more white people, first of all, waking up, and secondly, taking risks to resist the Trump regime, taking to the streets in protest, directly confronting ICE officers, resigning positions of authority, and in our case, making a documentary that could cause us to get our tails sewed off or worse. But it's worth it, these acts of resistance. Jesus said it like this: "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world yet lose his soul?" Because we cannot be people any longer who go along with wicked systems just because they benefit us.
Hello guys, so welcome back. We can see from the stitches and clips I just put out there for us to watch that a lot of white Americans are waking up. They're now waking up to realize that the system that they themselves established a very long time ago is really affecting them. It's affecting the whole of America, and it's affecting them for real. Because this system that these white Americans of higher hierarchy, which is the racist American that in higher hierarchy, they have been living in this system to keep black people from getting the least of everything. The system of allowing black people, not just black people, even the white Americans themselves, to their parts of the people suffering from this system. So this system has been established for a very, very long time, right from the time of slavery, Jim Crow, criminal law, gaslighting, and all of that. Like we can see from the stitches I put out there that the white American guy was complaining that American is a very racist country, that they don't want anything equality with black people because they fear that if they ever get equal with black people, that black people will be more higher than them. That's their fear, that's their thoughts, that's their mindsets. They've established this system for a very long time to keep black people and the white people of lower hierarchy, to keep them going, paying bills, sorting, and all that. And I come to think of it like, why is all this just happening? The whole system of America is fucked up, and the world is now realizing it. Everybody's waking up to the truth. Both the white Americans are now realizing that the system that they have been living on is a mess. It's a mess for all of them, because it only favors the white people that are of higher hierarchy, that lives in all these political affairs people, the politicians of Americans. They are the only ones that are benefiting from the system. Nobody else is benefiting from the system. Believe me, both the Hispanics, the Mexicans, the Asian Americans, Black Americans, African immigrants, African Americans, all of them, they are not benefiting from the system which the white people have established. The white politicians and the Democrats are the only ones that are benefiting from the system. So guys, welcome to the end of this video. I want you to drop your super thoughts in the comment section, and also forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned and watch out for my next video, guys. Bye. Have a nice day.